Here.
Hi, good afternoon and welcome to today's workshop. It shouldn't be that long. Roy, what do we have?
Yes, sir. We've got a few things to discuss in open session, and then I want to brief the commission on a couple of things in executive. So, I asked the budget office to see if we could do the wrap up sooner, but, with all the changes that we make during the budget meetings, they need the time until next Tuesday, otherwise we would have finished this week. So, having said that, I wanted to revisit the Heritage Center. That's something that we did not budget for yet. And we can add it in the wrap up next week, depending on what you decide. And then we also wanted to talk about credit card fees. Just in general, maybe we can bring that back either next week or during the calendar year. And then again, I want to go into executive real quick. So for the Heritage Center, did we pass that out already? So, little history. We said this a couple of months ago when Elva and the architect came to the city commission. They requested that we help them fund an expansion of the building, of either a 2-story or a 3-story expansion, right? It's got a detached building, so it doesn't impact any historical significance that the existing building may or may not have. And so it was kind of quick last year, so what the city commission decided was to fund the design. And so they're doing that. They expect to finish by the end of the year, to finish the design. And I asked them to come to see you a couple weeks ago to discuss funding. What I wanted to do was, I didn't want Elba here because I didn't need the additional pressure, or anyone else for that matter. Although Ms. Knurk is here and she's on the board, so she's going to have to swear to secrecy. But I want to remind you what we talked about last year. Last year we talked about a split of 50-50, and we, the staff, reminded Elba of that. That we talked about them raising 50%, which is a big amount of money, no doubt about it, and the city funding the other 50%. When Elva presented a few weeks ago, she talked about fundraising of 20%, right? And so that's one of the determinations that we need to make, is what level of funding we want to participate in. The second thing we want to decide is, do we want a 2 or a 3-story building if you are going to help fund it? And then the third thing is the timing of the funding. What I told Elva was, since they're not finished with the design, is if you're going to finish at the end of the year, give us a few more months, and then we can straddle 2 fiscal years on whatever we're going to participate in. And that helps us tremendously in the development corporation. So their estimate, let's just call it $1 million for a 2-story building, or $1.5 million for a 3-story building. So the question is, how much do we want to fund, and when? So we wanted to have a discussion.
Gentlemen?
Can you say again the funding? Say it again. The 2-story and.
So their estimate is about, it's 900 and some, but let's call it $1 million.
Okay.
$1 million for a 2-story, and $1.5 million for 3 stories.
Well, it's just because they get about 12,000 a year, so that's 1,000 a month, about 33 people a day. So if they committed to 50, and we had kind of thought about that 50-50. And I think it's a good project, but I also think that if people are interested, they'd be willing to pick up and fundraise and help out. Because I think it'd be a little difficult to put that much burden on the city on one nonprofit, and I know what's going to happen with all the rest. I mean, I love the Heritage Center, but it's, I think that the board and I guess maybe with the assistance of the city can help, fundraise.
Yeah, kind of the same. I think maybe. What about 20 or 25%, as they're asking, if they choose to do the 2-story 960. But if they were to do if they want to commit and get the full 3 stories, we would commit to 50%.
But what would that do to design? I mean, if they're doing it too.
Yeah, that's why we've got to make the decision here pretty quick, because they're about to get into, they've done preliminary work, and they're about to get into construction
Yeah,
documents.
We have to guarantee the full amount.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up.
Because, you can't start a construction without, committing for the payment. And so,
Yeah, but you know what? I mean, and we can do that, but that's not what that's not what I told Elba and her board members. What I said is, you've got to come up with the commitment of whatever the city commission decides, and then we'll fund our part. But I would not recommend that we budget, let's say, $1.5 million, and then be waiting on the come, because it'll never happen. Kind of like what we did with Quinta. With
I don't
Quinta, once we decided that that was the maximum that they were going to raise, we came up with the difference.
I can't think of a large capital project that we started without having all funding sources secured. So I think we treat this one the same.
But we have to, I mean, what do they have now currently, do you know?
They probably have about $200,000 in cash.
I say we help out a little fundraising, help the board.
I think that's why I said I think I'm okay if we share around 25% or so, as it was in the presentation for the 2-story. But I think if they want to go bigger, we'll put more in. But at the 50-50 split, so there's a bigger obligation to go out there and raise money. But then, by being able to raise that 50% for a larger project, we know the support's there, so we're willing to go more in as well.
Yeah. And they're real close. I think they already have 20% of $1 million, so I'm not against the project, right? I'm just very conservative when it comes to that.
what I've expressed to her, mostly a few others in the board, is that they need to, not settle for a 20 or 25%. I actually told them that it needs to get better, needs to get closer to the 50% mark, and they need to commit to it, and they need to work harder on getting it. And I think that they probably should have started sooner. They have done work, without a doubt, but they need to just, there's enough interest out there, local interest out there, that you should get closer to the 50% than just 20%. But you're right, I don't, if we just allow them to have, to make that 20% the mark, well, they're gonna settle. And we don't wanna do that.
And honestly, this has moved very fast. If you think about it, you just approved design money a year ago.
Yeah.
So, if we had to wait another fiscal year to start, there's nothing wrong with a capital campaign of this magnitude waiting. And you can amend the development corporation budget anytime. So if you come up with a number, let's say you decide it's 50%. You say, okay, when you get to 50% of whatever you're gonna build, we'll amend the budget to get the rest of it.
And I'm not saying it's 50, but it's more than 20.
Okay?
Yeah. So
35, 40,
if it's a third, basically they have to raise 500,000, and we have to come up with $1 million, right?
Yeah.
Okay? And that's much, much more palatable, I think, for the citizens of McAllen to do. Because, yeah, I think it tells a history, it's important. I'd rather do it sooner than later because it's only gonna cost more in the future. So, but, I think that there needs to be a little more focus and to try to raise and do some fundraising, just like what we asked High Mass to do, and just like what we asked Boys and Girls Club to do, and just like what we asked everyone else at Chamber to do, to fundraise from the local community. And this has a story, and I think that, I don't believe we should settle for a 20% type of commitment on the board's part.
Okay, so you wanna make it 1/3, let's say 1/3, 35% is the bottom? And then, we will budget the money when they have the funding.
At least a third, right?
At least a third.
Yeah.
Everybody okay with that?
That's just a suggestion on my part. Anything close to that is, I think, a little more palatable.
Okay, we have a consensus there?
It'll be for the
That's what
three
I'll,
floors, right?
Yeah.
It'll be for the three?
It's
A third,
up to them,
basically,
but
if they go
they're-
for the three, it's $1.5 million, it's around half a million on their part and $1 million from the
It's
city.
gonna depend on them.
And then,
yeah. And if they go with two, then they have to come up with 333,000.
that's right.
Okay? We'll get that message to them. What's the other thing? The other one, I'm having a little heartache with, it's credit card fees. Did you get that spreadsheet out? It's hitting our general fund a minimum of about $100,000 of
A year?
fees per year. 400,000 total, because outside funds are more susceptible to that fee. The bridge, the convention center, they take a lot of credit card payments. And so just know this, and I know you know this, but I'm gonna say it anyway. You're gonna get some pushback from people that are gonna be upset that we're charging that fee. Just like we did 15 years ago, whenever it was over there, so. The question is, do we continue to eat that fee, or do we charge it to the
But
customer?
what do you mean, a fee for using the,
Yeah, when you use a credit card fee, a
Transaction fee.
lot of companies, especially governmental entities, charge you a transaction fee,
3%.
because we pay for it. Okay, anybody that uses a MasterCard, anywhere you go, they're paying MasterCard or Visa that fee on their own. And in the old days, it was the cost of doing business, right? Because everybody had a MasterCard or a Visa or American Express or whatever. But now, more and more, you see establishments charging that fee to you, the end user. And it's costly, you know. For us, it's $500,000 a year.
Yeah, I think we should charge it, but I think it should be a percentage of the transaction. I'm not a fan of the flat fee, which like MPU has right now. Only because the flat fee, you have a $40 charge, or let's say you have a $10 charge, and you're gonna charge $3. It's egregious, right? It becomes 30% of your charge, but if it's relative, if it's percentage based, 1.9%, 2.2%, right? We go something like that. Then even the people paying $275 on MPU on $100 could end up paying even slightly smaller if it was percentage based, right? If their bill is 60, 70, 80 bucks. But it'll all be offset, I think, throughout various departments. Charge about 2.5, I don't know, 2.2, 2.5%. On a relative basis, I think it'll cover.
Michelle, do we charge a fee at the tax office?
Yes, we do.
Yes,
Yes, we do.
And is it a percent or is it a
it's
flat
a
fee?
percent.
It's, yeah, there's a base fee though, so if you.
There is a base fee.
Pay a certain low fee, then there's a minimum, and then above that, it's based on,
Yeah.
Yeah, because that one can add up.
yeah. And we
But
do
we're
get-
already doing it, so it's
we
fine.
do
Yeah,
get
that one's already done.
And we do get complaints about it.
You
How
do.
much is the total of money that we are?
About $500,000 a year.
We can do a lot of things with that.
Of course you can.
Okay, so, and the PUB,
This is the
there's
previous
a,
one here, right?
there's a flat fee,
Yeah, it's 275.
275 is the minimum?
Yeah, no matter the amount, or it's $5 on the commercial.
And that's because we have a third-party contractor there. That was a very good negotiated fee, actually, if your bill is high. If your bill is low, that's when you get hit
Yeah,
hard.
when you get hit.
You know,
what?
$50 bill and you charge $3,
If
it's
MP
6%.
If that one is only isolated MPU, maybe just retain it if it seems to work well, right? Because that obviously covers, but that fee doesn't go back to us, it goes to,
No, that's the PUB.
That's like a-
Theirs is $500,000 on their own,
right?
yeah.
But they don't keep that percentage. That goes
No,
to,
it goes directly to the
it's
third-party
It's an
administrator.
in and out,
Right.
right? It goes to the third party.
It's Hamer. Hamer does that one.
Yeah, Hamer. So they're covered, but I think across the other departments, I think there'd be a lot of interest from, I would assume vendors to pick up all those accounts at very competitive rates, right? And then we choose to add.
Is it a fee or a surcharge or what is
It's
it?
a transaction, call it whatever.
Transaction.
Yeah, you can negotiate that. The most common is a percent or a base fee, like $3 no matter what.
Yeah.
And those are rare, because, you know, if you're charging $1,000 and they charge you $3, it's nothing.
Yeah,
But when you're paying a $30 water bill and you're charged $3, right, now you're paying 10%. So it's very regressive
That's right.
depending on the size of the
Well,
bill.
but first, you have sanitation, you have trash, and you have, recycle.
Mhm.
Right then and there with all those three, you're already over the $20, okay? And so, it isn't a $30. Your minimum with water and sewer and sanitation and everything, because it's all part of it, is, minimum is $40 or more. Closer to 50.
Yeah, no, I
Yeah,
understand. I'm just
yeah.
using an example.
So, you're saying that they're at 275?
Yes,
I
flat.
believe that's what it is.
Which I think
And
it
we
should
can
be a
negotiate
percentage.
that. We can talk to some vendors.
How are we gonna handle this? Through a vendor?
Yeah, I think that we negotiate with them and see what kind of deal we can get, the best deal we can get for the consumer.
The biggest one is building inspections. People pay with credit cards at building inspections?
Yeah.
Yeah, you do. Municipal court, I guess they're paying fees, they're paying their fines.
Of course. Yes. That's
The golf course.
good.
So you're gonna get complaints at the golf course, I guarantee you.
More than anything else.
Places like golf courses, people are already used to it.
Performing
Golf course,
arts.
do we use it? Do we charge a convenience fee at the golf course?
You know, we're paying for all of
We
it.
pay for it, right?
For paper.
Oh, yeah, it's right here, I'm
And
sorry.
we
Yeah.
think we should charge.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's come up with a percentage.
Okay, it
Sir,
sounds like
especially-
y'all want us to work towards trying to get it back, right? Okay.
At the airport, what would that be at the airport?
Parking?
Probably
Parking?
parking,
People pay,
yeah,
you know, with a credit card?
Yeah, the little terminal.
Yeah, there's a credit card on the line.
yeah.
Yeah, there's a credit card line, so there's that much, yeah?
Oh yeah, parking is a big revenue for the airport,
Yeah.
millions. Couple million?
1.5.
Yeah.
Here in the one business. Parking.
Okay.
Okay. What else we got? City Hall, no, we already talked about that. If you wouldn't mind, I'd like to go into executive real quick.
We're back from executive session. Let's see. I don't think, is there any action?
No action be taken coming out of executive session.
Roy, is there anything left on the agenda?
No, sir, we have wrap up next Tuesday, so we will bring back any change that you've made up to this point and show you the impact that it'll have to the budget.
With that, we'll adjourn this budget hearing.